Where it's like, okay, you've been horribly misfigured. We can kind of connect to your brain,
God.
but the only thing you can do
true.
is beep yes, no. It's like,
I
wow.
can do more than that now.
Yes,
right?
exactly, yeah.
Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek. Strange New Worlds, episodes 1 and 2. Strange New Worlds and Children of the Comet. We open with Captain Pike at his cabin at Bear Creek, Montana, still handling the PTSD of knowing how and when he's going to die. We're going to talk about that more in a second. He is called into action because his number one has gone missing during a first contact mission. We end episode 2 with the crew forcing the comet to avoid colliding with an inhabited planet. Although in breaking up as it does, the comet changes the environment of said planet. We're told for the better. We'll assume that's true. Yeah, you saved 3 species, but you killed 15 others.
It's like, thankfully, we like acid rain.
Well, that leads Pike to ponder about fate, the nature of fate, including his own fate. Number 1 brings up the idea of changing his fate. And then we see him at the very end bringing up the bios of the current lives of the people that he's going to be saving in the future. So, Paul, that said, what did you think of the first 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds?
I really liked it. I liked the tone of it better than the previous modern, last couple of years Star Trek. Although I was pretty hyped about Discovery. I'm hoping this will last longer. My enthusiasm for it.
Oh, I got you. In other words, you were kind of up for Discovery, and then over time it kind of diminished, and you're hoping that this show doesn't do the same. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It does, it has an episodic feel, and I know you and I we appreciate narrative arcs. But it feels like this show has hit this nice happy medium so far. Of course, there's only 2 episodes in, but it seems that the idea is like self-contained episodes, but the characters are informed by whatever happens, so that their individual arcs are informed by what has already occurred story-wise. For instance, Captain Pike dealing with the nature of, hey, if I know when and how I'm going to die in the future, how does that affect my decision making now, where I don't? It's almost like I have plot armor on me at the moment. How does that affect my decision making? So that's all interesting, and so we have that. It's not that they just come back to neutral and they forget everything that happened in the last episode.
Right.
However, the episodes themselves seem to be like self-contained, which I think is a great for this show, for a Star Trek type adventure show. I think that's the way to go.
Well, I really think they are sort of molding it in the original series.
Right.
So, other shows that, have gone on from there are, they're trying to discover new things. But this, in a way, is trying to rekindle a spirit of the first series, but the first pilot even. And that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I, for one, got annoyed over time with the season-long mystery box theme that ultimately pays off kind of in an unsatisfying way. That's kind of the Discovery pattern. It was like, okay, the Red Angel. We don't care about what's, things that are happening in the moment. We have to worry about this season-long kind of tacked-on story.
And you haven't caught up with the second season of Picard yet, right?
I have not.
I can report to you that it's very similar to the first in how it crosses its T's and dots its I's.
All right, fair enough. And I like the premises of these first 2 episodes. They're very simple, kind of easy motivations. Your crewman's missing. There's a comet that's going to hit a planet. Got it.
Yes.
You can kind of just grasp it. I get the problem. You don't have to spend 10 minutes explaining it to me. Now solve it. Awesome. I'm good with that. This is supposedly taking place, I think, about 10 years before the events of the original series.
Yes.
And also, supposedly, there's an actor has been cast as James T. Kirk for season 2. So, however that fits in. We've already met his older brother, Sam, here in episode 2. We talked about this briefly before we started recording here, but so you get the feeling this is the main timeline, yes? Is that what you're getting out of this?
Yes, that's my impression. Because, I mean, this show started on Discovery, and that, is very definitively part of the main timeline. People got upset because they were having all sorts of things that we didn't know about, that weren't canon, that were occurring before the events of the original series. And then, so they kind of got themselves out of that by having this magical ship go into the future. It seems to me that that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I just wonder, there's some hints that this may veer off again from the main timeline, potentially. I think you've got a few canon issues. One of them is what we just talked about. Pike is, talking with number one about, maybe your fate isn't set in stone. Maybe there's a way to change it. And obviously in the main timeline, he's disfigured. He ends up going with the Telosians. I mean, that's a whole thing. So if he avoids this terrible accident that's coming in about a decade or so, which I think would be after this show, frankly. So
yeah, I think that's part of the reason why they're doing that. It's sort of like, do you imagine that we'll keep these guys for 10 years?
Right.
I mean, then they'll want so much money that we'll...
10 years from now, when they actually have to address it, they're like, we never thought we'd have to actually deal with this. Oh, my God. Our arc was just going to be, he accepts it. But no, now we have to actually come up with a thing. But
now, one thing that you just made me think about the fact is, I didn't realize, because of the makeup and everything, and maybe I should have, but I think I wasn't paying attention to the Menagerie, the original series episodes where they took the pilot and smashed them together with the current the crew that did the actual series. That it's a different actor. They just smudged up his face because he's so horribly, but it's a different actor, so that's actually not him, not the actor who was in the pilot. And so they could do the same. So they could recast that part at the end of 10 seasons or whatever, and have some new guy playing that part.
I will say that the show hinting at the fact that maybe he could change his fate is something I've been thinking about. Maybe too much.
You've been obsessed with it. I can help him beat the system.
He can beat the system, damn it. Because I think what is it? It's the monks on Boris?
Yes.
Anyway, so that was back in Discovery, actually.
Those Vulcan monks.
A plot line. Yeah.
Yes.
So they were so specific. That's the thing that drives me crazy. If they had just said, hey, day X, there's going to be a terrible accident and you'll be horribly disfigured and you'll spend the rest of your life as an invalid. You're like, okay, I guess okay. But no, they're like, at this date and time, at this place, there's going to be this inspection training mission. These 6 people are going to be there. You're going to try to have to save them. I'm like, oh man.
You'll remember though that he had an out, right? That don't take the crystal,
right?
And you can benefit.
But he
from
took the
seeing
crystal because
stuff.
that meant he was going to help save the day in that moment.
Right, and they're like, if you take it, it's sealed in. Which
right.
Why would that mean it's sealed in? Just because you took the crystal. Well, for you, it means you just would laugh to yourself and walk away with a crystal.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, sealed in. Okay. But so
and hoping you're not going to reveal your plan is like, you got those kids' names, kill them now.
I know.
Hope that's not your plan.
That was not my actual plan, but I wrote it in my notes, like the sinister approach.
Look at you.
He just starts bumping them off one by one. I can kill them while they're kids. They'll be much easier. In fact, all you have to do is kill one, and then the future's changed, right? So just kill one guy. Anyway, no.
Yeah, right. No.
Okay. More potentially believable is okay. So he knows there's this date and time. To me, it just means all you have to do is avoid basically being at this training mission on this day and time. Like if you delayed it by 2 hours, let's say, you're safe. Because whatever was going to happen isn't going to happen that way anymore. That's my idea. Now, you could say, oh, if he delays it, it'll still happen, and blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, no. It was very specific. You just beat the specific thing and you're good. So,
well, listen to you. It's like, well, okay, if he did like the next day and then, he died, would you still say, you beat the system? They said it would happen yesterday. You win.
No. He's got to beat the system and be not wheelchair bound. I think that's part of the deal here. So I feel like he's already told multiple Starfleet officers about this, and they believe him, right? They're not like, crazy guy, he's loopy. They're like, no, the monks. That makes sense. So,
well, that was one of the interesting things, actually. Sort of like he wasn't telling, the captain that he was romantically and sexually involved with about it. It's like he's telling a lot of people, it's classified. That's classified. But the people on the mission with him, Spock is like, on that planet, there are two things that can have a great effect on you. One are those monks. And the second thing is the time thing.
The time crystals.
So I'm guessing it's the time. I mean, those monks are nice, but it's probably
it's probably the time crystal. So so he's told these people, and they believe him. And my point being, if he tells people about this vision, he's not going to get laughed off. Like they're like, it sounds to me like you just say, hey everyone, the monks on Borth told me this inspection is going to go horribly wrong, so we're canceling it. Everybody have a nice, fun day off. See you next week or whatever. Like, hey.
Now, did you watch Lost?
I did.
So you're familiar with their concept of time and information that you get in the past and how well it can change your future.
I mean, it's like the Oedipus thing, right? You try to avoid your future, and by avoiding it, you make it happen.
But even if you look at it from the actual physics way, which is like, you got information from the future, and so you changed an event, but whoever told you, however you got the information in the future, is not existing anymore. So how do you get that information to change your action in the past? That's what fed the choices that they made in Avengers Endgame, where it's like, no, you can't change the past. You can't go back in time and do something different. And then, how would the present, how would that person know to go back? So, it's like, for me, that's what I prefer. Even though in Star Trek themselves, they were like, oh, wow, this is different. Now this book says something different because of what we did. So they have the other one. So you could argue like, that's what in this timeline, time travel means. But that would be such a radical thing. And I think the people making the show have been scared by anyone suggesting that they, veer from canon.
Right, because obviously, if he avoids this fate, then it is changing canon. This is not the main timeline anymore.
Yes. It does speak pretty poorly, though, of technology, where it's like, you've been horribly misfigured. We can kind of connect to your brain, but the only thing you can do is beep yes, no. It's like,
I can do more than that now.
Yes, right? Exactly.
It's like, well, he doesn't have any insurance, so we give you the yes no button.
There was some brain surgery equivalent of Noonien Sung where they're like, we can't do what we can do in the 90s and the 2000s. Sorry, no, we just can't. We have to have less technology.
All right, here's the clever way, and I say that in quotes because it's not actually, but here's the clever way you beat the system and you keep everything still seeming all right.
And you don't kill the kids?
And you don't kill the kids, exactly.
Oh, wow.
The kids live. The kids long, healthy lives, as far as we know. Okay, so he had a vision of it, right? So he's seeing everything in visual terms.
Yes, sure.
So that's what you got to beat. So you stage it. You're like, hey, everybody, I had this vision that there's this big accident. We're going to get the makeup team. We're going to go 5. I'm going to count down from 5. We're going to have a fake rupture. Then I'm going to pretend to save you guys. Then all we need is a few moments of me in a wheelchair. We're good. All right, here we go. And 5. Action.
Oh, Ensign, you're not selling it. I don't believe you're.
In my vision, you look much more in danger. So I need you to step that up a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Just imagine you're going to void your bowels, please. Okay, because you could die. All right.
You could die. Right.
Take 5.
In fact, us staging this might cause the actual accident that kills us all. So you never know. All right, anyway, we're done with that for now. We'll come back to it because this is a storyline they're going to continue with. But for now, he's thinking about ways to alter his fate, which apparently he can't because this is theoretically the main timeline. I would say the other potential canon-altering issue is the fact that some relative, I guess distant relative of Khan, is on board and is a security officer. I guess you could just say it's like small universe. Hey, look. But if the reason that they made her a relative of Khan is that they're going to somehow describe that storyline, or that storyline is going to come to pass. Like, oh, yes, I had an ancestor who was in the eugenics war and blah, 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 blah. It'll be odd because Spock's there. Yes. So you're just like, well, how did he not know any of this years later and Space Seed? But anyway, so
maybe that's the thing that happens. He goes back to that planet and gets a crystal that makes him forget. Strange New Worlds.
I forgot everything, crystal. I have a sister too. I'd like to forget about her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The new versions of Trek have never suffered really on the look of the shows, and this one is no different. It looks
I agree.
Great, fantastic.
I really liked Pike's living quarters, actually. That was interesting.
Yeah.
When they typically have had sort of get-togethers, they've, I think visually they were not nearly as dynamic as this. It was interesting the way that everyone was spread out, and how they interacted and everything. In the past, we've had more just like, oh, here's some tables, and people just standing around, and that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, he had like a little cutting board, and
because he was cooking, right? So that was one of the things about him.
One of our complaints about Discovery was that for a long time the bridge crew was anonymous. It was just like, who?
Yes.
I don't know who these people are. Well, they're even in 2 episodes, we know them now, right? There's Ortegas, Uhura, obviously, Number 1, Spock. Yeah. So they've put everybody front and center. The Noonien Singh. So they're showing backstories to all these folks and giving them their fully realized characters, which I appreciate, because the show at its best, I think, is a kind of a group cooperation type show. Hey, your skills plus your skills, and we find a way to make them work, and we save the day. And so we saw that on display with Uhura, with her. She knows 37 languages. She's a cadet at this point, but she's the one that figures out how to talk to the entity. The animals. Yeah. She's Dr. Doolittle, and so she's the one that it helps figure out the puzzle that is this entity inside the comet.
Yeah, and I don't think I've heard you extol enough about how this series does not have a Jurati or your nemesis.
A Tilly.
Tilly.
No Tillys.
Character. There's no Tillys or Juratis that I've seen that.
And I agree that the show is better for that. I'll say there's a little bit of an issue with some of the dialogue. That seems like it kind of trends in that direction a little bit. And when I brought this issue up to you right before we recorded, you instinctively knew the reference I was going to bring. You were like, cool? I was like, yes, cool. That is to me was one of these moments that kind of stood out. I was like, no thanks. It's at the end of episode 1. Captain Pike's giving his, Strange New Worlds speech to the bridge crew. And the response from Uhura is, cool. And you're like, this person is like 37 languages. She's maybe the most brilliant linguist in the galaxy. She's first in her class of thousands. And her verbal response to this is cool. It felt like she's like a 10-year-old kid, I'm on an after-school special. And I'm like, no. You were a competent officer on a spaceship.
She could be, that could be part of her thing. It's like, oh, I like to use really old dialect.
Yes, exactly. In the 20th century, there was an expression that was right for this moment. I believe it was cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was also going to say, whoop-de-doo.
But anyway, so that was like something that I don't really feel like she would have said that in that moment. That sounds like something the writer would have said in that moment.
One thing, though, I would challenge you on. Wouldn't you say that through all of Star Trek, all the series and everything, there's a very corny sense of humor that they have?
True. Except in that moment, I don't think she's trying to be humorous. I think she's
but there's a humor in her saying that, though.
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Fair
enough. It's not like a deal breaker moment or anything. It's just like
right,
okay. Just coming off of the type of dialogue we've had in some of these other new Trek shows, I was like, I had my feelers up like the engineer. But no, I wouldn't say the dialogue was terrible overall. It was just there was a few moments where I'm like,
a couple of notes where it kind of hit you the wrong way, and I would agree with that. If we just accept that this is sometimes those notes are just going to be there.
Yeah, agreed.
Although it's possible that maybe it's just like they're still getting their bearings about the show and what works best.
Right. Plus, they also have to. It's always awkward on any show when you got essentially the pilot episode where these characters, in our minds, don't have a relationship yet.
Right.
So they're trying to act like they have a relationship. It just takes time, right? 10 episodes in, then you're like, we're referencing that event that we all have shared. Here, they don't have that, so it's always a little awkward to do that.
Yeah, because for me, one of the things that came off awkward to my ear, I think they could have workshopped the Uhura sort of questioning Spock about how Nurse Chapel was, behaving with him.
Oh, she's flirting with you or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. It's like, okay, I can see her introducing it to him, the concept of him, and obviously that's something to prepare us for. That's, a number of things about the show. They're in danger of sort of progressing things to another point. That's like if Chapel and Spock have more of a relationship before the start of the program.
Correct.
That could be rather strange. And,
Timeline.
I really liked the rapport that they established between Spock and T'Pring. We were saying that the original series kind of gave you the impression that maybe they didn't interact that much.
There was some kind of like an arranged marriage kind of thing where they were
although there were times when they sort of, as I recall, it's been a long time since I've seen that episode, where I think he was saying, you have always felt X or Y, where he did perhaps have a stronger feeling about her. And they certainly set up, I think, and in the episode Amok Time, that she's very, I want to say conniving, and that's rather insulting, but she's calculated. Someone else.
She's
calculated,
in love with someone else.
And she really, well, yes, but I think that did happen after her relationship with Spock changed because of him being involved in Starfleet. So
she even has a line in episode 1 where she says, "I'm not going to follow you around space" or something like that. She kind of says hey, don't expect me to stay and wait and wave at you or whatever. So
that was very good the way they established that.
And they have an episode coming up that's entitled Spock Amok. Which I'm like, is that a Duck Amok reference?
And that's what happens. So that's the episode where Spock, gets mad at the writers. And
they start erasing his background.
And
then they suddenly he's not in space anymore. He's like
yes.
He's in Montana.
They give him the body of a Tribble, and
that is if it's a Duck Amok homage, just in terms of the the title, I give them big credit. One of the best Looney Tunes cartoons of all time.
Sure.
So if somehow, just imagine this, if 3 weeks from now, whatever, we're saying like, oh my God, that whole episode was actually an hour-long homage to Duck Amuck, I'd be like, go get him. So yeah, there's some grand design. There's an alien that can erase the screen and then write whatever it wants back. So anyway, but no, that's fun. And so it suggests that we're going to see more of what that's all about. His relationship with T'Pring is going to come back in for an episode or two.
Yeah. Now, I'm assuming that you would not mind at all if they decided, you know what, this is a different timeline.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, frankly, because I feel like they're gonna run into the same issues that they were having with Discovery, right? It was when I kind of remember, it's been a while, but I kind of remember when season 1 of Discovery's come out, like, are they gonna be able to keep this in the main timeline with all of these changes and the spore drive and everything? And so I feel like we're like, you're doing a prequel, and you've got these characters that are in the original series: Nurse Chapel, Spock, Pike. All these, and you're going to move forward with storylines. Again, you're running the risk again of kind of screwing with canon. So, maybe it's just a different timeline situation.
You think actually it is?
I guess at this moment it's not, but I feel like I feel like there's gonna it's in this timeline until it isn't. Right? It's like, oops! It turns out he didn't have to die after all. Now we're in a new timeline. It is interesting. They've got a little bit of a minefield, right? They've got
they do.
Canonical minefield to go through here. And will they choose to go through it, or will they just choose to be like, screw it, we're in another
I think I would prefer them to do what they can to stay in canon.
Okay, fair enough.
In order for that to be satisfying to me, it means being really clever. So,
right. Right.
And in some ways, you wouldn't know until they were ready to hand off or do something.
Correct.
It's like the series is over now. What are you going to do? It's like, it turns out that
everyone got amnesia.
Yeah. Well, that would suck. It's like, wait, we found a way to explain all that behavior in the original series. Oh, it makes sense. I'm shocked.
So obviously Sam Kirk, he's on the show. He, in the original series, we never really see him except we see him dead. We see it's William Shatner with a mustache.
Yeah.
So we know how he dies in the main timeline. He lucky to be alive now.
Yes.
He's one of the more casual away team guys. Alien artifact looks dangerous. It's pulsating. My crew members are telling me back away. And I'm like, oh, whoops, heart attack.
Yeah, just imagine 9 or 10 more events like this.
Right.
Once he finally does die, you're going to be like, it's probably better this way.
Exactly. Right. He actually beat the odds. He's like a cat.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna be talking to Pike one day and like, you feel invincible, don't you? Well, I kind of feel invincible too.
Yeah, actually,
I've been through a lot and survived.
We have a shooting of the scene from the original series when Kirk finds his dead brother, and when he finds him, he's like, he lived this long. Wow. Who knew it? Good on you, brother. So it'd be interesting to see that, and obviously, as I say, they've cast James Kirk for season 2, so there's even more minefields you got to get through there. But I look forward to, let's assume they're going to find a clever way to go through this minefield, and I'm all for it for now, so let's do it.
It's James B. Kirk. Oh!
Right. James Biterius Kirk.
Yeah.
Anson Mount is really, obviously he's the star of the show, and he should be, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Pike is so watchable, so that's, that alone makes the show really enjoyable to watch. So his performance So go get them, Anson Mount. And we will be back talking about episode 3. And we're near, in like 10 days or so, the Obi-Wan series comes out. So we'll be talking about that as well. So we'll be doing Trek and Star Wars at the same time.
Yeah.
And there'll be some antimatter explosion or something. But yeah. So we'll deal with that when it happens. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir. And we'll talk to everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.